Mace now. We understand his legal team is now negotiating some sort of limited new plea deal, which means he could be on the hook for criminal charges related to the business dealings, Ukraine, China. What do you believe is now on the table in this dramatic turn of events this afternoon? Welcome.
Well, and good afternoon, and thank you. The first thing that I want to say today is that Hunter Biden, if you are watching this right now, you are not above the law, and justice is coming for you today. Number one. Number two, the million-dollar question here, and everything that I read in the outcome of the court proceedings this morning, is that what is he under investigation for? Is it for bribery? Is it money laundering? Is it for operating as a foreign agent illegally? What does it have to do with, or is it all of the above? And then the third thing that Andy McCarthy touched on too is that it's very unusual for the government or any prosecutor to give away all their leverage by giving a sweetheart plea deal to somebody while you are actively investigating them. Why is that even happening in the first place? So we have a lot of questions at this point, but it looks like he's being investigated, and we want to know why.
Congresswoman, to that point, when you take a look at what we've learned about this investigation, what we've learned about the background of it from the release of this Form FD 1023, with what the Oversight and Judiciary Committees there in the House have uncovered, was there any legitimate reason for the Department of Justice to go ahead and continue with this plea agreement today?
I don't believe that there is, but the evidence has been overwhelming, and we do need, according to Andy McCarthy, and I agree with him here, some sort of special counsel to investigate the president's son, because the evidence that we're seeing is becoming overwhelming, and at some point you have to say enough is enough. And I'm very curious to see what Devin Archer will say on Monday when he does a transcribed interview with the Oversight Committee. This guy's the best friend or former BFF of Hunter Biden. He was in the room. He's going to attest to the fact that his father was in the room via conference call over 24 times. And where does this end without a special counsel? And you certainly can't investigate a guy and give him a plea deal while you're investigating him. That's not how this works.
Congresswoman, what do you start to think of as far as political implications of this dragging out before the American public as we get closer and closer to a presidential election?
Well, it's damaging and it's divisive to the country, number one. But the number two thing is that the American people deserve the truth. They don't have to like it, but the truth has to come out about the kind of leaders that our country is electing, and whether or not we want someone who's involved in corruption or bribery or money laundering, if that's the kind of leader that we want to have on the world stage, because too much is at stake right now. I do believe it'll have an impact on 2024, but that's not the reason to do it. We certainly want to follow the evidence, follow the investigation, but I do believe now we have to see a special counsel come out of this.
Congresswoman, just a heads up, we got the 2-minute warning for the White House briefing. Obviously, I think questions about this are going to come up. And on that front, I mean, when you take a look at what the president has said about knowing nothing about his son's business dealings and never even speaking to him about it. And then the other day, Karine Jean-Pierre comes out and says the president was never in business with his son. It seemed as though they were trying to slip that by us and that we would never notice. What do you make about the difference in how they're characterizing this now?
Well, every time he was questioned about it for the last few years, Joe Biden denied it and lied about it to the American people. And that's really important distinction, because now all of a sudden we have witnesses, we have whistleblowers, we have people to say that Joe Biden was around and in meetings dozens, maybe even hundreds of times. And so what we've got to do is get the evidence to show the American public what's really going on, whether it's tapes, whether it's witnesses.
Some activity here outside the courthouse. You'll see folks are now running from the courthouse. Congressman, apologies for the interruption there, but we've been waiting for this moment, and it is a moment where we could see the president's son here a short time from now and his legal team. Go ahead, Congresswoman.
No, thank you. What I was saying is we have to collect as much evidence as possible. If the DOJ won't do it, it'll be up to Oversight, it'll be up to Judiciary, it'll be up to the House Ways and Means Committee to provide the information, documentary evidence, the emails, the texts, the messages, the phone calls, the witnesses, everything that we have, so the American people have a choice next year and they can decide if they want to continue to have a president and family who's corrupt leading our country. And I'm very doubtful about that.
All right, Congresswoman, thank you very much for being with us. We know that you've got to get back to your business there on Capitol Hill. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
We got to go. Let's